And nobody will join again because why would they? We ruined our chances.
We can put
Okay.
like 7 stories all in all our accounts.
Yeah, that's good.
Just
Yeah,
spamming.
but
Just
we're
spam it.
back. Yeah, spam the shit out
Oh.
of it.
We are
Yeah,
back.
now there's no noise.
Yeah, awesome. Okay,
No noise?
Ah,
No noise.
No noise.
so
Okay.
that's figured out. That's good.
Can you hear the people next to me?
oh, they're not speaking right now. Oh yeah.
No, but they were. Can you hear them?
Yeah, no noise. Awesome.
I mean, I
Awesome.
Can you hear
them,
me?
But
So I guess Discord and somehow
Warte,
looping
Lennard, kannst du mich hören?
back from Discord
Ja.
made the
Hörst du die?
problem.
ja, meine Kopfhörer sind offen.
Ja, ich meine mich auf dein,
Ach
durch
so,
den
ja, ja,
Kopfhörer.
ja, ja, ja.
Aber die hörst du nicht.
Das kann ich nicht sagen, weil die genauso laut sind wie. Warte, ich wechsle die Kopfhörer.
Okay, guys, we're live.
Wait. Yeah, wait. Can you hear the people next to me?
No.
And can you hear me?
No.
Only me.
We hear you. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
We're good. We're good. Okay.
Ich meine mich.
Now we just need people in the stream, or maybe whatever. Cool. Okay. So somehow Discord created this anomaly.
Yeah, and it's pretty bad, to be honest. Beat 7 is not a note I want to hear for the rest of my
All
life.
right.
Yeah. But you know, tinnitus is a thing.
Anyway, let's put this on our story.
Yeah. Cool.
Because we went from 20 people to 5.
Okay. They're gonna be back. They're gonna be back.
They're gonna miss us.
Back in.
They're gonna
Back
be
in
back. It's gonna be
you.
okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay, now my YouTube stream says that the bitrate is lower than recommended. I don't care. We're gonna do it now anyways. Now
Yes.
it's over. Okay, whatever. People will join in, and until then let's just start because everybody's time is
Yeah.
you know,
Yes.
we have
Yes.
yes, you know,
Oui, oui.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can be here till tomorrow, but yeah.
exactly. Maybe we won't be here tomorrow. Well, till tomorrow. Okay.
Sad.
Yeah. All right. Let's get this back on track. So here we are with Lennard, with Nils, with Slether, and we're gonna talk a little bit about looping, about mixing in looping, how we approach it, what is a good mix, why is it important, is it important, do we even care,
No.
do we
no.
even loop, do we even
Who gives a fuck?
do
Just-
covers
just
and
do it.
pre-record all the time. Yeah, that's
Covers, yeah.
that's gonna be the topic. Let people know that we are back. Shoot it on Clip Loop server or whatever. Whoever's interested, welcome. Whoever's not, get the hell out. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, cool. Let's fucking just get straight into it, I guess. My idea was to do this podcast style and just talk like loopers to loopers, because in recent events like Loop Mayhem, Loop Lab, and in GBB, you know, for sure, we had such nice talks with so many artists in the community, and I was like, why didn't we record this? This would be so useful for people to listen to. This would be so amazing. And my dream is that not fucking DJs playing all the time, but loopers playing all the time, and DJs also. They have their
think
place.
This is actually a pretty good like starting point. But I think with like the rise of AI, right? Okay, everyone's already always talking about it. But I think the essence of live looping will become more attractive because you know that a human's done it. You know, I think in the future,
Oh yeah. Oh
in
yeah.
the future, I think the fact that, oh yeah, well, you could just get a bot and be like, oh yeah, make this country song with a drum and bass drop, and it'll do it pretty well, probably in like 3 years, better than us, maybe, you know. But if you can see a human behind it doing it live, I think that
Yeah.
little aspect will be pretty cool. So
Exactly. The human element, the human factor, the energy is just different, and I think we all agree, because that's why we do looping, probably.
No, I
yeah,
don't.
we don't like being robots.
Yeah.
I mean, there is the effect robot, but no one uses it anymore.
yeah.
I use it.
Use it? Well, that's because you're bad. So
I actually use it as well in my GVG wildcard.
Okay, well,
Oh, whoa,
That's
no
why-
spoilers, no
Oh
spoilers.
yeah, right. Oh yeah, right.
No, but
Okay.
no, but I think like talking about AI or whatever you were saying, like in general, I think it's always been attractive to do like very manual stuff, and it will always be like
yeah.
nonetheless like how all goes. Like it's always fun to see. Like you're more involved in an entertainment way. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
also
think-
for producer,
yeah,
also
yeah.
like the people who like, or like even if they pretend, but like it's more interesting to see when they actually press shit than just
Yeah.
like
Of course, that's why DJs
Play.
doing the hot pot, when they just touch and like, what, no, it's too hot, because
Yeah.
it sells the illusion that they are doing shit when they actually, well,
Are doing nothing.
They have to do a little bit though. But the point is also that people doesn't really know the difference, right? So I
Between
play
what?
and do these boiler room style gigs where people stand right next to me,
Oh, yeah.
like
Yeah.
right next to me. They see my loopy, they see me playing the instruments, and they come up to me and say, "Wow, sick DJ sub, bro."
yeah, but I
You know,
think,
there's
like,
no bigger insult to a
they
looper.
just don't, they
Yeah.
just don't know the name Loopstation.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
it's
I
just
I think like the best way for them to understand something different is happening is when you input sounds. Like for example, what we do with Loopstation.
Mm.
That's like way easier to understand, like compared one with what you do, Kristof.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wait, Kristof, what I would maybe introduce in the beginning of your sets to make it more obvious to like the general audience with what you're doing is to be like, oh yeah, so everything you're doing, everything you're hearing is something I'm doing live, and then etc. I'll show you. Boom, record that. It's like a chord thing, and then like
Man, you wouldn't imagine. The problem is that they have no words for it. And I show you. No, I'm not gonna show it. But actually, I have an A3 like banner that is saying that I'm not a DJ.
Oh,
And
yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah,
right
I
at my
remember.
table.
I
and it's
remember.
hang out in walls. And also in my recent show, when I have LED screens right behind me, I put it there. I'm not a DJ, literally word by word, and
But
it's
like-
going
Yeah.
in loop.
Yeah,
but
but
then they
the-
still
dude, for
don't know
Kristof,
what
your
you
DJ
are.
said that
Actually,
Loop,
still don't know.
Loop Lab is sick.
that's the
Yeah,
problem.
but
And
when you
that's the
tell them
point.
you're not a DJ, then they still don't know what you actually are.
Exactly
So,
where I
Yeah,
want
wait,
to
you
go.
could,
that-
sorry,
you could do like a thing like I am a and then DJ, which is screwed up, and then looper. Big.
Yeah. So the point is that people don't know what they're hearing. They kind of hear that is different. Actually, I have a catchphrase now that I use that I'm actually doing what people think DJs are doing. And
Oh,
yeah, man.
That's really
Because that's
true.
the
I
thing.
see.
Yeah.
Because
I
that's
see.
the thing, that people have no clue what DJs are doing, and they assume that they must be doing something there, right? And they assume that DJs are live loopers in a sense. And more videos going viral, more videos explaining, more of these things getting out, and I think it will be better and better, and people will know the difference, will look for the difference, will
Yeah.
enjoy the difference, hopefully.
Yeah.
Because for me, there's a difference if a robot is doing a backflip or a human being is doing a backflip in a circus, let's say. Well, if it's a robot, I'm like, wow, nice programming, cool. It's interesting. But when a human is doing, I'm worried for, if he's going to make it and so on. So it's a different experience. And my point is not better or worse, but different. And that's where I want to go. Also with this mixing thingy. So getting back to the mix.
Wait, sorry to interrupt
Yes.
really quick. It's just Chaos said next time without Slether, please, in chat. And I want to just make a quick comment on that. It's look who's invited to this live stream and who isn't, right? And I think that should like maybe give yourself a little bit of self-reflection to the kind of person that you are. And that kind of person, I'm sure I don't have to spell it out for you. You know what you are, you know why people don't like you and don't talk to you. So it's just reflect a little bit, So I think but let's get back to mixing, the main point,
Man, first rule Kristof told us when we joined, like no beef. 10 minutes in.
The beef with me and Chaos, it's the kind
Yeah,
of
no,
beef.
it's
It's like
fine.
Wagyu
It's
beef,
fine.
It's good beef. It's
good beef.
it's we love each other.
It's
but,
why you beef.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the healthy kind of beef.
It's
It's good. It's okay.
Yeah. tasty.
Nice.
Yeah, it's tasty beef. Yeah. Just people, if anybody doesn't know, these guys are good. Nothing going on. Don't feel
Yes,
awkward.
yes,
This was
yes,
just a
yes.
friendly banter. It's
Yes.
okay, and it's gonna be okay. So
Gonna be
yeah,
alright.
that's the point. Okay. Anyways, let's get back on track and let's start talking about mix. How it's relating to DJs, because my point is people think we are DJs, and from DJs what they expect: amazing sound all the time, hard-hitting bass, not piercing their ears, just
Flippers.
basically everything perfect all the time. So we are because that's what they expect.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
And it's really great. I mean, like I have the HX, right? So I have like a few more like mixing options, but on the Loopstation, it's just like, okay, so I need to make a sound. But in order to get a cool sound, I need 4 effects, which means I don't have space to get rid of the 4,000 hertz that is ruining my ears.
yeah, and not only that, because when you're like EQing or whatever, it's like, okay, you want to put a more like 1K hertz or what, and then the next one is like 125, like you don't have any range in the EQs or whatever, like
yeah,
jumps
it's a parametric.
between,
It's a
yeah,
three parametric, right?
Yeah.
And
For
then low
example,
and high. It's pretty trash.
yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
it is.
It's
I
tragic. It's tragic.
talked to boss about it, and they said that
Really?
one of the reasons they are not implementing it is that because most people, like casual users, would be overwhelmed with it. And I was like, okay, but why not make like an advanced tab, so you can have
Yeah,
your
both.
low, mid, high kind of EQ, and then you just double click or do something, and you have an advanced tab where you can specify rocking frequencies like in 2025. So that's one of my main beef with the Loopstation that we have right now, MK2,
Yeah.
is that it's basically outdated technology. Like 5
Yes.
10 years ago it would have been amazing, but right now, having Loopy Pro, having Ableton, and having people expecting us to sound amazing all the time, it's
With
a
their
different
loop
game.
station, by the way.
What?
With their loop station.
Mm.
I mean, so
I don't know, but if they expected to make a machine that's like easy use, they failed. Like either way they put that, or like, but it's true. Like all of us, I think, when we got our MK2, even though we knew how to use an MK1, we got a bit overwhelmed at first.
when people asked me like in my DMs, if they want to start looping and beatboxing, and and if it's good to buy the MK1 first or the MK2, and I said, well, if you want to like dive into the scene, MK2 for sure, but if you want to make music, MK1, because it's way more easier.
Well, I mean,
Way
you
more
say it's
popular.
easier, but then you just go, and then you have,
No, MK1.
Or
you know, it's pretty cool.
I think the point what Lennard is making, that
Yeah, I know.
it's more straight to the point. There's no
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
back alleys to
Yeah.
get where you want to get. But at the same time, MK1 is super basic. So if you're just
Yeah.
a musician
Sure.
wanting to do like Ed Sheeran style looping, yeah,
Right.
MK1 all the way, go for it. Even RC
Right.
300, sorry.
Yeah.
Like go for it, because that's what
Shout
you need.
out 202.
Yeah.
And also, most of the times,
yeah.
if you're using a guitar, the RC 600 is, I think, the best
Yeah,
right now,
yeah.
right?
I still argue that even in those senses, Loopy Pro would wipe the floor with
Yeah.
everything. But that's a different side of the talk that we're gonna maybe have or maybe not if we have time. But in general, getting back to mixing, I want to ask you guys, and also you guys in the chat, if you have any ideas or anything to say about it. What is a good mix?
Oh.
Why? How? Is it subjective? Is it objective? What makes a
Okay.
good mix?
I can like say some
Jesus.
things about it.
no.
So I think if you look at like produced tracks nowadays, there's an industry standard, right? I mean, if you look at like the standard, you got the smile curve, less mids, more lows, more highs, etc. Right? And it's like in order to get it to like that, you have like minus a lot of LUFS. Well, yeah, a lot of LUFS. You want to have like a lot of volume.
Actually, not a lot of
And
loves, if you think about
yeah,
it.
technically. But it's what in my head, like with looping, mixing is very different to produced mixing because you obviously don't have a lot of tools to attune the sounds individually, like with the frequencies or the compression, right? So in looping mixing, it's sound selection. That's the way I
Yeah.
think of it, because you don't
Yeah.
have a lot of space to actually make the sound mix in the fit in the mix, but you have a lot of space to have good sound design and good sound selection, which will make the mixing good from the start. I mean, that's the thing in producing anyway. Good sound selection makes a good mix. If you've got really bad recordings and synths that don't work over each other, then it's never going to sound good no matter how many EQs you throw on. But I think in looping, it's even more critical to have good sound selection.
For sure. And to quickly reflect back on that, I think how people and especially Sinjo started to popularize saying this, the frequency filament, or how did he say it? The placement, frequency placement. That's the word that he used. That every sound has a range where it mostly sits. So I don't want anybody to think that you like have to high pass and low pass to, okay, this is fitting from 200 to 800 and everything else I'll kill. And it's not like that. It's just have a range that it mostly sitting, and of course it has upper harmonics, but maybe not that present all the time. And other sounds having a more higher pitched and a higher harmonic system build up. But a good example, for example, the drums. Okay, kick is filling up the low end, but also it has a high end too, like the the top end where it starts. The transient is
the 2K.
Still, if you look at it, it looks like a kind of this in the analyzer. So it's a low driven sound. Okay, the snare is a mid driven sound, and the hi-hat's obviously high driven sounds. And one of the things that makes me go crazy when people make a hi-hat with the HPF all the way, and the hi-hat has no lower harmonics, and it's just basically almost a sine wave, and it's like, it's so out of place, piercing. It's not a pleasant sound, because it is, although a high-driven sound, but it should contain a little bit of information in the other
I wanna have one more really important point of mixing that I feel like I struggle with very big, but a lot of people have a lot of problems with. It's leveling of stuff.
Yeah.
So I think for one, a big problem in the loop community in general is that drums are just too loud.
Hell yes.
It's like drums are so loud. It's because it comes from beatboxing, right? So we're like used to like, but it's a really bad habit in loopers that like the kick is just like, oh yeah, bang, and then the snare is like bang, and then you got like hi-hats are like, oh yeah, I love having my ears damaged. It's like, and then like the rest of the track is like down here. And then often, like I remember when I was mastering my old tracks, I was a big idiot in this issue. I would have like my master being like this, and then it would be like that. I'd have to like put a limiter on that would just like crunch it down. But,
really good point. We can talk about leveling for sure, and frequency placement also. So we're talking about in general what makes a good mix, and these two answers, leveling and frequency placement, I think also super important. Nils, Lennard, do you have anything? What makes a good mix?
So for me, it took me like a really long time to understand, or even like to even hear a bad mix. Okay, so when I started looping, especially on the MK1, I was not focused on like a good mix or like a clean mix. I was like, I want to do sounds and crazy sounds and music and I don't know, So and I also like I didn't really know like a lot of like about mixing and producing itself. I came just out of a choir. I was like, okay, let's do like vocal harmonies and that's it. One EQ for everything.
Yeah.
And like when I hear like the first wildcards I did, like especially Move with A is it's so muddy. And I also remember when you judged Upgrade Battle, Kristof,
I judged it as well.
Oh yeah, right. Sorry. But Kristof said it especially that my rounds were muddy, and I was like, what is he talking about? I don't understand, because I couldn't hear it yet, you know. So I really had to I had to focus on that for like 2 years, 3 years to be able to hear the difference between a good mix and a bad mix. What does it even mean, you know?
Yeah, no, I think that's normal because like one thing I've noticed is like as an average listener, right? You're not gonna be able to tell like, instantly, but you can still, if you hear, you're so used to the industry standard.
Yes.
You know, you're still so used to, oh yeah, everything's meant to be this clean. When you hear something muddy, you'll still think, oh yeah, that's just because it's worse. And then your brain will just naturally be like, oh yeah,
don't
that's
know how to fix it, you know?
Yeah.
And sometimes I think that people who have no idea that the mix is wrong, sometimes they put it as the music is wrong.
Exactly.
Which
that's
is
the point I'm
super
trying to say.
dangerous.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Same carpet.
Yeah.
It's really, really dangerous. So again, a really good point that you have to kind of train your ears to be reliable on what is a good mix. And we have a really easy time to live in because, as Slether said, you just go on Spotify, type in Skrillex, and bam, you have I don't know how many discographies of amazing mix. Like Skrillex is still one of the tightest, most amazing mixes I ever heard.
Andy C for drum and bass.
And and by the way, live Skrillex on the same sound system. I was there in a festival for a week, so I heard a lot of acts in the same sound system, and damn, Skrillex mixes just sounds different. Even in his own set, when he drops a song that is not his, it's sticking out a little bit downwards. Like when you have this kind of nerdy, approach to enjoying a concert or a DJ set. Yeah, it's crazy. But again, you have a standard that you can reference your tracks to, and what I don't really see enough, that people reference their loop tracks to produce tracks, like high-end produced tracks, and not just a random producer whatever.
Dude,
but like
reference tracking has saved me. Reference tracking is so important because like when you're just writing a song and then you're like, yeah, because I used to not reference track. It used to be like, yeah, it sounds better when I add a bit of this. And then I'll listen to like an actual track, like a high level produced track, let's say Skrillex, right? Let's say Supersonic. Cool. Then I'll hear it and I'll be like, oh yeah, I suck. And then but then I realized, oh, I can use this to my advantage, you know? Okay, so sure, okay, the bass in my track is missing the highs. I just boosted it a little bit. And then I copy the frequencies, right? And then suddenly my track sounds 20 times better. If you don't reference track immediately. You know, it's just like every producer does it. It's the most important thing. Well, no, it's not the most important thing, but it's very useful.
What are you doing when the genre you're gonna do is not EDM? When you do like
But you can then pick a non-EDM song.
You can, and also nowadays, for example, I don't know how much you guys like metal or metalcore music.
I love metal.
But metalcore, for example, is now in a direction of including heavy electronics, like really. And that's why also the overall sound of a metalcore song now is heading more towards the EDM produced sound.
Yes, it is.
Which is crazy. But what I want to say is that bringing, let's say, your EDM background of mixing to another genre can be kind of pioneering
really
stuff.
Like, yeah.
It could be really interesting to have like a funky jazzy stuff, but mix it as like in the face.
So this is actually something interesting. So my dad's like he's a drummer, right? He's a drum teacher, whatever. And he recorded a track with some friends. And I was like, dude, let me mix it. And he was like, sure. I mixed it. And he was like, dude, this is amazing. And I'm like, I'm not even that good at this, you know, but I'm in the EDM scene, you know, it's like we have like techniques because in the EDM scene, the standard is like, boom, astronomical. Not saying that in the acoustic scene, it's not, but like, it's just the like, I would say the skill floor is, I guess, lower in the acoustic one. It's difficult. It's so difficult to compare, you know. But
I
it's
think the goal is different though. And about goals, I
yeah,
was checking the chat and Chaos had a question that do you think it's considered bad mix if an artist purposely left frequency crash into each other and a certain point for the matter of sound design? Raj asking that, for example, Reeps bass. If you guys don't know, a Reeps bass basically is
yes,
detuned saw waves, which are
yeah,
wobbling against each other and creating a sound. Again, sound design and mixing,
Different things.
they are hand in hand, but they are different. And the
yes,
purpose is always to have your artistic goal through. But if your artistic goal is to hurt people's ear, you can even boost 4K like a maniac. Well, people are not gonna like you for it, but if
yeah. No, you're
that
gonna get
is your
hated.
artistic goal, you can do it. Most
Yeah,
people will still consider that as bad mixing because bad mixing doesn't. I think the number one that we didn't talk about, that it doesn't hurt. It's
yeah.
super
It's
important.
as
Yeah, actually.
It's
like
balanced and when
I-
wow.
oh, wait, can I do that too?
Hey, wow.
We can all
I can't do
no,
it.
no,
That's
no. Only
superpowers here.
the teacher. Yeah.
It's really important. So answering chaos, if it doesn't hurt, it's not sticking out in a way that is super objectively unpleasant, but it's
Yes.
making tension, as you wrote in other comment. It's not even related to mixing. It's a artistic choice and it's cool.
Yeah,
So if it doesn't
Yeah.
hurt, nobody cares. For example, having a Reeps bass that is phasing on the low end, so the bass is not, steady, but it's like.
yeah,
If it's working like that because that movement feels good in the track, then yeah. But in other senses, then maybe you are better off with layering a stable sub and the upper half of the Reeps bass, and then it is a mixing mistake because you lose power, and that sequence would need more power. But this is also getting a bit more subjective. So, Nils, you didn't say too much today, so let's hit you. What is a good mix for you? What is your main takeaways? And then we're gonna go get more specific with stuff.
Okay. So first, I don't talk that much because I only talk if I think I have something very important to say or whatever. Because I'm here more to learn than to like. I don't. Okay. So my point, let me explain, is that like I feel that my case is more like an extended version of what Lennard said, in the sense that I'm stuck in that first phase he described of not having knowledge. Like, I don't know nothing about music production and nothing about mixing. Like, everything I know is just by hearing and my, just by hearing. And then I found out like this terms of frequencies and levels because of my studies, because I'm studying physics and I studied sound and whatever, and there I applied that to my music, but I haven't searched for it like by my own in music terms or whatever. So it's more like that. So, but yeah, in my case, like for good mixing, it was mostly about having the space of frequencies for everything, so nothing clashes. Like, because that was like my first struggle, let's say, like mostly in the low ends, like everything was very messy, and that was what took me more time to change. But I don't know nothing. Like everything I do is just changing, and
Okay,
by
I
how
wouldn't
it
say you
sounds.
don't know nothing because alone the fact that you can hear the problems
Yeah, but
is you know
it's
something
because,
like
like, my point is that I don't know how to explain it in a formal way.
so you don't know the
Yes.
you don't know the science, but you know the knowledge, I guess. Like in a
More like
way.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
That's the
it's
point.
like I think what's important is like if you can hear it and you can find a solution to the problem.
Yeah, I do
fine.
somehow.
Let's
But
put it
I-
this way.
Mhm.
I think music and a lot of things related to music is the best reference to like a language, because we all learned languages.
Okay.
Most of us have 2 languages, some of us has 3, but everybody has at least 1. And that's the most important. Yeah, Slether flexing with the 3. Nice. Yeah, so the point is that in a language, let's say somebody speaks your native language, and you hear that there is an accent. You hear that sometimes they don't put the words perfectly by grammatical rules. But after a while, when you get used to it, it actually their sound, and you recognize from there. But until they
Yeah.
are understandable, you don't give a shit, because you understand them and you recognize their accent. They recognize the way they speak. Sometimes you smile at it because it's so funny how they express themselves. But it's okay until your goal is not perfection grammatically, perfection, and until your message comes through. So I think a perfect mix is not necessarily the best mix. Sometimes
Ooh, interesting.
a
Okay.
good mix that has character is better than a perfect mix.
I think
my
this is
opinion.
like I fully agree with you, because I've noticed this. When you take like singing voices, for example, a voice that's perfectly in pitch but has no character is extremely boring.
Mm.
That's the thing. And also about rules and what you said, Niels, that you don't know the rules, that you don't know the blah blah blah. Sometimes, especially in the beginning when you start to learn the rules, it's worse knowing
Okay.
the rules than just using your ears, because
Yeah.
you go up
Okay,
to
yeah,
YouTube,
it's like building the house like in from top to bottom.
because you go to YouTube and you believe everything, because like, yeah,
Okay.
obviously they know more than me, and they said that if you boost 10k by 2 dBs with the shelf of the Q of 1, then it's gonna sound beautiful and polished. And I do that, and I sound
Dude,
beautiful and polished. And no, you sound like crap.
I saw a YouTube tutorial recently that was so stupid, but I believed it for like a month. And it was basically when you have like a piano in a scale, or any thing playing chords, right?
Okay.
You get the scale that you're in, and you put the max, like Q40, on all of the notes in the scale, and you just take away like 10 dB on all of the notes. And so basically, this guy's point was like, oh yeah, you're like, it'll make it sound cleaner. No, you have no more sound.
Like, just a disclaimer for everybody who wants to learn mixing the proper way. You go onto YouTube, you not learn actual knowledge. You learn tools, and you have to decide if you use those tools or
Yeah.
not, and if it's actually a good idea to use that tool for what it's recommended to use to, or maybe it's a good tool for something else. I give you an example. So, for example, people like to say that bass should be mono. Awesome, cool. Makes sense, because if it phases, then it's not a constant bass, right? So it's not woo, but it's like woo, woo. And if you want full power, you need that constancy and whatever. But you go and you check your favorite tracks, and you see that some of them, the bass doesn't have actual full mono. And also you
Yeah.
see that, and you hear that it sounds so big and wide. And also, when you mono it down, you somehow don't hear the bass phasing. How the fuck is that possible? And what is going on? Because they're suggesting something that was super popular to suggest, that your bass has to be dead mono, like below 200 hertz. Some people say 200 hertz.
No,
It's
200 is stupid.
crazy. It's crazy. More conservative people say like 80 or 100, but that's even
that's
crazy
what I
too,
would say.
to say it has to be dead mono, because there's difference between a phasing super widened sound and having a little bit of width and thus a little bit of phasing, which you might not even really pick up on, or it sounds almost natural. It's what you said with the singers. It's not always the pitch perfect is the perfect. Sometimes a little bit off, like blues. It's pleasant. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like I think like with the sub, it's a very important point. Is because I heard once, oh yeah, you need to have all your subs in mono. And because I had a problem with my GBB 21 wildcard, I actually put this is so embarrassing, but I put a dual delay, which is an effect on the HX, on the sub because I thought, yeah, that sounded cool. That's why the mix was terrible. So basically, I removed all the sub from the mids. So then I basically became traumatized, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do the opposite forever. And
It
then
happens.
yeah. So then I was it was actually in Skyline. I don't know if you guys know the track. It's the one that I produced with Chaos. Um, I was listening to it, and then and when I was mastering it, I like automatically just cut out all the sides in the low. I was like, gone, bye. And it sounded worse. And I was like, well, why is that? And I put it back. And then I noticed it was like the sub is not like in the sides, right?
Hmm.
But it was like it just had body, it had weight to it, and it was better. So I just kept it
Certain
in.
width. Yeah.
Yeah, I just kept it in because it wasn't, it sounded worse. Like what I will say with rules in mixing, rules is a stupid word because music is in itself a thing that cannot be put under rules, because that's the beauty of it, in my opinion. Um, when going through rules like, okay, low cut sounds that don't need sub, right? Um, think, is it actually beneficial in this situation? Yes, do the rule. No, don't do the rule. Right? If it
Yeah.
sounds worse, then it's
Hmm.
why are you doing it?
It's about having a really, really responsive and wide knowledged ear and making your
Yeah.
decisions by choice, and that can be heard in mixes, in my opinion, when somebody's doing it like that. And it's super important to not to believe everything on YouTube. Don't believe this. Go try it out. Like whatever we say, don't take it as like straight
We are not all knowing.
knowledge. It's like stuff that we think as truth, and you have to try it out if
Hmm.
it's your truth. And it's a general biggest wisdom that I learned so far in my life, that sometimes people fool you with trying to help you because they give you an
Yeah.
information that is might be true in their life but not in yours. And it's super important to evaluate whatever you
Yeah. Be
get
critical.
and filter it through your mind. And it's super important. Lennard, want to say something? Yes. Be
No,
aggressive,
no, no,
man.
no, no.
He was laughing at me. It's because I'm so funny that it's like
Yeah,
hard to
that
contain
that
himself,
that was it.
especially like
That was
in
it.
my
No,
presence. It's just like this aura that I give off. You know.
shut up. No, what I wanted what I wanted to say is so the problem with me and learning from YouTube was the same with beatbox. Like there is not the right way, you know. There's just need to learn the tools and then you can use it if you want to. Um, I'm it's just not my way of learning things, you know. So what would be helpful for me is that someone is sits on one piece and tells me what he would do specifically to this piece to make a good mix or something.
Yeah,
And then I would
that's
ask a second person, and probably the second person would do like different things.
Yeah,
And
but just
then
like a voice in your head, like saying different alternatives, let's say, but with wisdom, like just
yeah,
to somehow.
yeah, but like I don't really have this voice yet.
Exactly. Same for me, I
it's
think.
it's okay.
This is good.
I would say as long as you dare to experiment.
Yeah,
And I bring in an other super important factor for Loopstation artists, because I've been guilty of it, and I know that anybody as a Loopstation guy is guilty of it. Listening to your Loopstation and to your mix way too loud, bitch.
Oh,
Way
but
too
Yeah.
loud.
Dude,
that's the thing I
I have
learned
ear
actually.
damage.
And so, like, a lot of people told me that it's actually a good idea to listen to it, or like sometimes to just turn the volume down and to listen to it. It's also for leveling, the same thing.
For leveling, one of the best thing
Yeah.
when you're not talking about frequency balance or whatever, but purely levels, to turn it super down. It's
Yep.
way easier. Also,
Yeah.
when you want to mix your track and you've had a good like 3 hours practice sesh on max volume, don't even try, man.
Oh yeah.
Like
Yeah. Just don't bother.
take an hour or practically a day, come back with a fresh ear, listen to a reference track first to get your ears used to what you want to hear.
Yes.
And also, we talk about, like, you said it, Lennard, that you needed years to see what is a good mix and what is a
Yeah.
bad
I'm
mix.
still struggling with it, but I'm like, in comparing this to my mix now. I mean, I can see it through my videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
The progress.
Time gives a lot of
Yeah.
perspective, and also if you listen to music with a critical ear, meaning you take one song, maybe it can be by suggestion that you don't take it as granted, but for now you just take it as so. So let's say you take anything from the new Skrillex album, you take Rumble, it won a Grammy, or you can just take and look up what songs get Grammy for mix, or and you take that as a reference. You take that song, listen it 10 times, and all the 10 times listen for something else. For the first listen, listen overall. On the second time, listen only the bass. Listen what the bass does, how it sounds, when is it on, when is it off, when is it high passed, when it's
very
not.
smart. Yeah.
Then do the same with the mid-range. Pick one instrument, pick only the vocals, pick only the drums, only the snare, and listen through the whole song and get some context of what is happening.
It's the same thing with like, if you wanna if you hear like cool chords in a song, and you wanna try to play them, or even to sing them on loop, to harmonize the chords. It's the same thing with it. You really have to like focus on one thing to be able to
Yeah, you have to focus on each individual note.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah,
It's true.
exactly, because then if you do this and you kind of train your ears, you don't train a full physique by just one exercise. Then your biceps gonna lack, or whatever's gonna lack. You have overall exercises, but you have specific exercises also. And it's important for your ear to know how does a bass sound, and also listen to other tracks and say that, holy shit, this bass sounds different than the other. Which one I prefer? Which one I like? Do I like that one? Do I like this one? All I can hear, it's pretty balanced. Maybe this is more bassy, this is a little bit less bassy. Maybe on this track the drums are really driven. For example, I found like so many years ago. I don't know if you guys know Polo and Bryson, drum and bass producers.
Nope.
They are doing this really nice style of liquid drum and bass. They have a couple of hits. One of my favorite songs is Phone Line. It's an amazing track. But what I...
Oh yeah, I know that one.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So those are the producer guys next to the singer girl. It's so funny seeing Lennard looking at Slether and,
Yeah.
and
Well, no,
knowing
we're
that
not
you guys
looking at
actually are
each
looking
other.
at each other.
We're not actually.
not?
We're
No,
looking
no,
at
no.
the special neighbors.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I call them.
Good.
Yeah, you have a couple of
Good.
special
Wait.
neighbors. Hi. Yeah, send some love to Frieden there.
The Freedon. You get love from Kristof, Freedon. I don't send it. Freedon, look, Kristof does.
Yes.
You're Freedon, right? Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I don't do English.
English is not Englishing. Anyways, back to Paul and Bryson. I found that they like to have their drums really unusually super fat and saturated. And that's part of their sound. So whenever in a random playlist I heard like that really saturated drum sound, I was going for Spotify and yeah, Paul and Bryson, and I recognized them by their how they process their drums. And for my taste, it's a bit too much in the face and a bit too fat, but still I like it because it's characteristic, and I wouldn't do the same way, but I like it. And
It's fun.
It's uniqueness, I suppose.
I
and, like,
knew this. I knew this song, and I didn't knew this fact and I remember this song because of the drums. So it's
Yeah.
There has to be something there.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah. But
yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't
guess-
knew how to put it in words.
I guess
That's-
like a good way to put it is like, so you can identify artists by music, but you can also identify them by mix. You
Yeah.
know, and
Yeah.
like getting like an independency inside of a mix is pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
having
yeah,
that uniqueness. I was
So-
also gonna say when you
Yep.
were talking about like how loopers have their shit too loud, you know. I think a really cool thing that helped me with like leveling overall is two things. So for one, I would like check what my mix is like on different volumes. So I'd be like, okay, really quiet. Can I hear everything? Or well, hear the things that I'm supposed to hear, other things less, right? The way they should be. And I'll check it through different volumes and I'd be like, yeah, okay, it fits in, it works in every kind of volume. And then what I'd also do, this is a very, very important tip, in my opinion, is try your song on different sound systems.
yes.
Because
Or
sure, it might
speakers in
sound
general.
good. Yeah, well, not just try it on everything. I
In a
go
car.
through in my head, so I have my headphones, which are way too good, so everything sounds good on them. So I'll start with them to like boost my ego a little bit, and then I'll go to like car speakers, and I'll be like, okay, yeah, I can hear some issues. I'll fix them there, and then I'll hear on my phone speaker, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is god awful. And then I'll start again, you know. But like, it has to sound good on various things, because if you only
Yeah.
mix it on one thing, you'll attune it to the things that make that specific thing sound good. It's like, yeah, you know what I mean.
And
You
also
felt-
law of familiarity. You know, you get used to it and you cannot even differentiate
Oh,
between
yeah.
anything
Yeah,
because it's just that
familiarity is
one
bad.
thing. The biggest jump in my mixing was when I started to play gigs, and also before and after the gig I put some music from Spotify because I hated the sound guys putting some super different music than I'm gonna play. So let's say I go to a place and they put like ethno music and I'm gonna play drum and bass, and I'm like,
Yeah.
why? So I put my own favorite. By the way, I have a Spotify playlist if you want to listen to it. Kristof 7S selects. It's a lot of music that you would enjoy. Promotion over. But the point is, I started to listen to those tracks in bigger sound systems, and then I heard my mix right after it, so back to back. And this is something also really important. So people coming to events and whatever and saying that, oh wow, he has a so good mix, he has, yes, but did you hear it back to back with something that is actually super amazingly produced? Because that's when the real shit start to hit the fan, because you realize where you lack and how much you lack. And then you start to listen for a different ear in a big sound system where the bass, even in a headphone, is a tricky thing. Like, you can get a nice bass on headphone, but you really have to know what you are looking for. And when you hear a really well produced track and then your bass, you start to have questions like, why am I alive, and stuff like that. But you know what I'm saying? It's crazy to hear it in a big sound system, what you do back to back with something that is well produced. So whenever you have a sound check or whatever, I really recommend do that little try and get some takeaways. Not to take your ego down before your concert, so you have to separate in your head. Like, I do this for my overall long-term learning, to hear my stuff, and then I forget it for the gig. I don't care. It's my mix. I can't do anything about it. But as for a long-term learning, whenever you have access for a big sound system, playing something from you and kind of on the same level playing something from a really accomplished artist, it's worth it. It's a really good point.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Sometimes also, like, it happened to me with, like, I did a wildcard and I sent it to someone to master it, right? Then I got it back and I was like, oh, that sounds so shit. But like the real thing was, it only sounded different. That was the only thing.
Yes.
And I was like, oh no, my wildcard, no, it sounds so, no, and maybe the master is like bad or something.
It's it could be that it's bad, but it's also
Yeah.
that you got used to it so much, and also
Yeah.
you
Right.
have to communicate with your mixing and mastering engineering that
Yes.
okay, I want you to retain everything I did, just juice it up a little bit, but no big cuts, no big whatever. I want it as I did it because I want it like that. Or do your thing and then don't expect it back. But regarding mastering, we have also a question that do you have a master chain when you play live? My short answer is yes.
Yeah.
Huh?
But
Huh?
Yeah, I was about to. I know what you're gonna say. Wait, go on.
but we'll see if I'm gonna say what you think that I'm gonna say, but probably it wouldn't change that much if I would turn it off.
Yeah.
And also, when I do a song, mastering is almost nothing. People think that mastering is a big magical whatever. Technically, it's almost nothing. When you have a good mix, you slap on basically 3-4 plugins that doing almost nothing, and that's mastering. Whenever you have to touch your master, for example, with EQ, and you boost, let's say, anything more than 1.5 dBs, you're fucked. Go back mixing. It's a
Yes.
mixing problem and not a mastering problem.
This is something I've
Ooh,
noticed
interesting.
very much with like my tracks. Like my master chain, like now is a lot less than it used to be, or used to had to be back when I didn't mix that well. I think now literally all I have is I have a multi-band compressor on the low and the low mids, just to, like get a bit more punchiness in that low area. And then I have a clipper. Before that I have a bit of compression. And then a bit of EQ before, and then a limiter. That's it.
Yeah, and
Afterwards.
also, why is the GBB rules that you cannot use clippers, saturators, and stuff like that? Because
Wait, you
it's-
can't?
No, you shouldn't. And this year it's gonna be
Oh.
monitored.
Man,
By yours
it's all in the
truly, so-
rules.
Yeah.
Wait, you can't use clip or saturation?
No, you shouldn't, and you can't. Inside your box, yes, you can. When you are.
But how will they know?
Master.
We're gonna have like a call with all the audio engineers, or if you did it for yourself, then with you, if you get a wild card, and you have to show us your projects in your DAW.
What if I lie?
Well, you can, but if you get caught, you can lose your title and
What if
you
I
can
don't
be
get caught?
banned. If you don't
Oh,
get
shit.
caught and you lie, you get a
Man.
wild card by cheating, and good for you. Congratulations. Yeah. So
You're in front of the referee.
Okay, wait, what am I
Yeah.
allowed to use? Because I'm gonna master my own track. I'm mastering my own track. I want to know what I'm allowed to use
EQ,
because I was
reverb, compression, multiband compression, but no upwards compression, and limiter. And
Limiter's
everything. So
okay.
if you use a compressor and you push it to the point where it start to distort, and you just blend it in as like a parallel compression, but it's actually parallel saturation, no good. Don't break the integrity of your left right. That's the most important thing, and that's why we put the rules quite strict like that, because we wanna judge what you do in the box and what you do with your mouth when it's solo category, not what an audio engineer doing after. And the point is also what I wanted to make about mastering, that mastering for most loopers, solo is a different category, but in loopers and producers are so necessary because their mix is shit, and I'm sorry to say that. But if your mix is good, you should be able to do your mastering, and maybe I'll do a quick tutorial on that. I should be.
yeah.
Actually,
I saw
yeah.
I saw a message in chat right now saying, "What's the difference between mixing and mastering?"
Okay, mixing is dealing with all the different elements, even if they are put in groups. So let's say your drums handled as one group, it's still mixing, but when you handle your drums, your vocals, your everything, so all the elements in your track together, and you apply processing on the end result, left, right, basically. So the whole thing, that's mastering. And mastering is not about correcting levels. You can do stuff like that. You can do tricks. You can save bad mixes to sound horrible, and you can elevate them. But the end goal of your mixing mastering journey would be that your mastering chain is so minimal that if you turn it off, all it happens that it gets quieter, and that's it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, mixing is the main thing. Mastering is like it's the dessert of the meal.
Kind of.
Yeah,
Gonna affect like the whole
about
thing.
the master process, I wanted to say that in my case, like I don't do my own master.
Mhm.
I've always relied on Fabibos. I think you all
Mhm.
know him.
Yep.
And for me, that process is mostly like a talk. Like we talk about it. We even do a call where he's doing it, and I'm just checking because for me it's very important to see what he sees that I don't. Um, like just to understand it and maybe to learn about it in terms of mixing also. Like he usually is very happy with my songs. Like he masters almost all the loopers in Spain, and he sometimes has told me that he's mad at some of them because the mix is horrible, and then they want him to do like magic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
with and with me he's usually very happy, but that what I was saying is that for me that process is more like a talk. Like it's his work, but I want to be involved in it somehow.
Yes.
And
I think it's very important for the mastering engineer to talk with the musician,
yeah,
because if the mastering engineer can completely just do what he wants to do, and if it doesn't fit with the vision of the artist behind the track, that's really stupid, I think.
Yeah, definitely, and it's a big takeaway to get as involved as possible because you also learn passively. Maybe you don't know the words, you don't know what he did, but your ear is still getting those little infos of
Yeah.
oh, it changed. Oh, wow, okay, and then you can get into whatever to deepen that knowledge.
Also,
But
like
yeah, definitely, yes.
a big thing for me was like that for mixing and to hear the different things about mixing and mastering and stuff. These little changes. When I try to my girlfriend, for example, when I try to explain to her why this bass is now has more sub and then or less sub because I boosted the lows or something, she's not able to hear it, because she thinks that something like will change, like that the actual sound is gonna change, but it's just like a little thing of like I don't know,
Yeah.
10% of the actual sound that is gonna change
Yeah,
or
yeah.
reduce.
It's a certain thing, so it's more like focusing into one
Yeah,
area rather than the whole picture. So let's say, to translate it into a different example, sometimes it's not that your outfit or your look is bad, but let's say you have one little spot on your shirt that is really, I don't know, the color is too bright and it overall makes everything, and you take that spot and everything changes. And actually nothing
yeah,
changed, but everything changes.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's you spilt tomato sauce on your shirt.
that ruins most looks, yeah. Fair
Yeah,
enough.
so just wash
uh,
it. Just
but
wash
yeah,
it. Mastering is washing the shirt.
just quickly saying to Martin that Suit 2 is not allowed. It's auto and it's spectral and it's changing way too much. So just so you
It's
know,
so good though.
it's amazing, but just so you know, in GBB processing is not allowed. Please check
Come
the
on, let me have a
rules.
little bit of
man,
soup
the
too, man. Come on,
Uh,
top
let me have a little
5 in
bit.
Loopstation is going to be disqualified just because of misunderstanding
I
the
really hope
rules.
not, because the rules are pretty clear and I'm open for
Yeah.
any discussion on Instagram. So for sure. But the more basic you use, the more likely you're not gonna get disqualified. And also, you don't need much. Like, damn,
But I
it's
love me a clipper.
yeah, Clipper is amazing. Clippers are amazing. But again, it's wouldn't change much if I wouldn't have my Clippers on my
Gives me like
mastering.
4 LUFs
It's
though.
just overall, that bringing together sound, and also for me, uh, I found an amazing way to mix and master stuff where, the sausage example, that it's so
Yes,
bad because the sound wave looks like a sausage. It means that everything is just limited,
flat.
basically.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is not actually in the sausage, but if you zoom into the sausage, Yeah, that's what she said.
Woo!
Okay.
Yeah, that's all I was thinking about right now.
I know. I had to say it for somebody. So if you zoom into the sausage, you see the little transients. And when those transients are really uneven or like basically a trapeze shaped, so they are not more like a triangle, but more like a triangle that has the top cutted, basically limited or hard clipped or whatever, so it's more like a trapeze, then it means that you introduce minimal distortion and at the same time you lose punch. So my thing is that I found a way to basically make the sausage really dense but have these little triangles all over, so the punch of the transients are perfectly retained, but everything is put together. And for example, clippers are amazing for that, like soft clipping.
But yeah,
but
so there's a
not too
lot.
much.
Your sausage is dense, is what you're trying to tell
Yeah,
us.
it's a dense sausage with little triangles sticking out, and it's thick as fuck.
Dude, I'm so happy for you, man.
And it's
That
like
was so
and
unnecessary.
it's so in the range of -6 and 7 LUFS, because that's the soft spot for me, by the way. You know, my sausage has a soft spot.
Oh,
Okay, done.
-6 loves.
Yeah,
G
next
spot.
point.
Okay, done. But yeah, but
I like
these.
it when the loves go in the positives. That's when it's really
Oh,
good
that's
for
when
me.
it's really starting to become music.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But to really talk and get back from the producing to the loop, you don't really have to worry any of that in order to get a good mix. And sometimes those mixes could be even more characteristic than my dense sticking triangle sausage. So it's important for you to not to get lost in the details and have a main vision. What the hell do I want? Do I want my snare to like smack you on the face, or is it just keep driving the track? For example,
right.
do you know Hamdi, the
No,
producer guy? When I push, if you're good, when I pull, if when I
Yeah.
push,
keep
push,
doing it.
push, push. No, that's track. That guy. All of his tracks, well, all of them are same, but they are amazing. And for example, he has his claps so much in the front. When you turn the volume up, it's borderline kind of like, you know,
Too loud.
a friend of mine, a drummer friend of mine used to say all the time that when the snare hits, that kind of snare hits, you feel the, you know, the prosthesis in your mouth, the in your teeth is falling out. Like it's that, you know, yeah, it's that heavy. But that's an artistic choice, and you can hear it because you turn up to the max. It's still not hurt, but it's like so damn in the face. Just as we talked about Paula and Bryson also with the characteristics of that really saturated
Saturated
drums.
drums.
Yeah. It's your choice and making those choices, but not to stick out too much, so it's not uncomfortable, and not saying that Paul and Bryson mixing everything, so it's only drums and nothing else. You cannot hear the vocals because of the drums. Then it's a bad mix. But this way, kind of finding that sweet spot between adding that character and that character not overshadowing everything is the key, in my opinion.
Mm. Yeah, I'm in agreement.
Lennard is saying something, or
No,
just
no, no,
really
no, no.
thinking.
I'm just-
Lennard is fighting against his thoughts.
Freedom. No. Oh.
Wow, how did you do that? Oh my god.
Yeah, it's kind of
No,
like freedom
it's
is
only
right here.
all the things, all the things you said. Like, I try to think about like, what does it mean for me and my music and my
Mhm.
mix, and you know, and also I know I won't spoil it, but I also
And
I
in your
also
GBB walk.
yeah, right. I also it's already recorded, and now it's like, oh, I could have done like you know, this and that.
Okay.
No, but it's interesting to see that like some things I had like just a feeling about is right because of the things you already said, and also like things are not really right. Like for example, sometimes one of my tracks I created like a few days ago, the snare has to be more quiet than usual.
Okay.
And then the track really hits.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if it's too loud, then it doesn't hit. Or like if it's like normal, like if it has like the normal loudness of my snare, you know,
Yeah.
that it's not hitting as much anymore, and I couldn't tell why.
Yeah.
But like, it makes sense. somehow.
It is
Are
like
you
that.
are you telling
Yeah.
your weak points in your wildcard to the
No,
judge?
not my wildcard. Not my wildcard.
Oh, okay.
Well, we'll see about that. Well,
I was like,
Yeah, we're
I was
gonna
like,
analyze
this
your
man,
wildcard.
like he's so confident.
but yeah, it's definitely important that you have the right mindset when you try to mix. And also what I see again, and I will repeat this maybe 2 more times during the next 10 minutes, well, because probably soon we have to end. But when you get into the stuff and you get the knowledge bits, don't try to be like the guy who's telling everybody why they are wrong, and I know because it's like you have to do it like that, and I know, because probably or most likely you're wrong. It's usually mixing is way simpler than people on the internet try to sell it as. But in its simplicity, it's super difficult. I give you an example that the beatbox community guys, us, will probably understand. For example, listening to me doing a round of wing, and probably I can do it technically, but it would sound as ass, like
Or not as but
Sound
not
as
like him.
ass.
that
Like-
that minimalistic approach of wings,
Yeah.
but the precision of how he produces those sounds, makes those sounds, put the emphasis where he wants it, and so on. That's where the magic is, really.
Right.
Yeah, of course, he has some nice technical stuff that I might not be able to do, but in the core, that's the idea with mixing too, that if you have your levels right, if each instrument and each element kind of sitting in the right range, and it's not just one number that how much bass should my kick have. Well, it depends, and it's a range, so it's not like that there's one exact sound that is good enough. It's a wide range, quite wide range. But if that's right, if your levels are right, probably you're done. That's that's the core of mixing, having right balanced levels and right balanced sounds. And it's not that difficult, but people like to over mystify it. In order to get a good mix, the approach of Nils, in my opinion, for most loopers is better. Just listen, and then pick up some knowledge here and
Sometimes
there.
turn your volume
Yeah.
down.
What?
But sometimes turn your volume down when you listen.
Yeah.
But yeah, listen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Listen, reference different audio devices. Listen, as Slether said, but train your ears to be able to detect problems in different frequency ranges. I would say the 4 frequency ranges that is like essential. How they like to split it usually. That's why the lows, so the subs, the low mids, the high mids,
The mud.
and the air, the top range. And also information is in the mids. Our voice sits in the mid range. That's why
Yeah.
our ear is most used to and like to listen to that range. So what I sometimes did when I was a bit more on the learning curve, that I took like filters on the top and on the bottom, and basically got rid of everything below 200, got rid of everything above, let's say 3K, 4K, maybe even 2K, and just really listening to the mid-range. That how does it sound? And then take a track, a reference track, and put the same filtering on top, and listen to the mid-range in those circumstances, and try to see the difference, because sometimes the subs are masking because you're like, oh yeah, it's so heavy, yeah, cool, but you're not listening for the mids. And sometimes the top, the high end, the hi-hats, the tops of the synths, like, it's just really sizzling. It masks so many things that's going on in the mids. And the number one thing is always the first thing is not EQ, what you adjust. Level is the first thing that you should adjust.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's
because
new for me.
really, because
Yeah.
leveling is like, I will say this actually before leveling. I want to reiterate the point. Sound selection makes so much difference. It's actually insane. If your mix sounds bad from the start, there's something wrong.
I actually talked about, like, I'm studying music, and we have a sound engineer class, and we mic the drums and learn how to mic drums. And then there were like few problems because we wanted to play like a funky groove thing, and the bass wasn't sounding, or like the bass drum wasn't sounding as the genre would need it. And then he said, okay, let's change the mic. And I was like, why? We can just EQ it. And then he said, no, do it before. EQing is the last thing you want to do. And that's probably why.
Yes.
Yeah. Imagine that you make an AI generate a picture for you, and that picture is like disfigured, and you go into Photoshop to fix it instead of asking AI with a different prompt.
I see.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
Crazy.
EQ's not a solution, it's like a bandage.
Yeah, it makes so much sense when you know it, but like for me, it's just like, oh yeah, whoa.
yeah. And also, when you have to like super big EQ adjustments going on, it's probably because your input sound or your source is not right, or if it's a sound design thing. But also, this happens so many times. It's really hard to talk about this because people they are really connected with what they do and they love it, and that's awesome. But when you give feedback, for me, it's a big takeaway from judging the past 2 years for GBB Wildcards, giving feedback and then getting back hate. And it's really hard to use my words in a way how it's not hurting, but
Yeah.
it's constructive. But also at the same time, people using a card so many times, and that card is, that's my artistic vision. And I'm like, okay, like, if your artistic vision is 4K and 20 dBs boost, sure, I cannot say anything about it. And it's when people say, like, in an argument, but that's how I feel. And okay, I get
Yeah,
it. Like, it's
I
a
remember-
Jolly Joker card. Yeah, okay, you can put it wherever the fuck you want it, and I can't argue about it, because if that's what you wanted, that's what you wanted. But this is gonna be, I guess, the last question that I wanted to ask you. How can we even define objectivity and subjectivity?
Oh, dude, I'm actually really into philosophy, so I enjoy this question.
No, I don't.
Yeah, I don't want to start though. Someone else.
I like it because I was talking about this today also for some competition that I will judge, and we were talking about the criteria, all the stuff, and one of the criteria that they had, like one of the statements, was judging energy, and like as a thing, and that's like the worst. For example, this is like so out of what we were talking, but
Is it though?
I think
Yeah.
like energy doesn't mean like jumping around all the time.
exactly, but because you have to have the words to talk about it. Like, for example, if you are trying to talk about stage presence, you can say that someone is like looking crowd judge opponent like in a smart way, with also like connecting with his own song, like in the right moments, like giving some space, like all, if you can't talk about all that stuff, that's more close to objectiveness than subjectiveness, at least for me. Like if it's more about the movement, if it's something like things that you can see more than feel, that's more objective than subjective, at least for me.
But I can see your point, but then it's like I think objectivity and subjectivity is such a difficult thing to define.
Yeah, of course.
I think that's
I'm
like
not saying
the
it's
cool
easy.
part about it. Yeah. No, absolutely. I think like the reason why we have criteria in wildcard judging in general is to bring objectivity into the picture, because otherwise it would just be based off of subjectivity, right? Which in a sense, is that wrong? Is also a question, you know? It's so difficult because like the purpose for criteria is like, oh yeah, we want to bring some sort of system into it, but people benefit from the system while others don't, you know?
Yeah.
So then again, is that fair on the people that don't benefit from it? No. But it's an impossible discussion.
Yes, but at the same time, hi. At the same time, I would say that every country, I guess, has their version of The Voice or the Rising
Yeah.
Star or whatever, and all of these shows have in common that in the selection phase they bring in people who are bad, but how bad? Objectively bad. So, is it really an impossible thing to say that the guy maybe not singing too bad but bringing the energy in a very wrong way and way too much and aggressive and it's weird and people are gonna laugh about it, and that's why they put it, because it's objectively everybody gonna have 90% around the same.
But is that objective?
That's the thing, that objectivity, and that's what I wanted to say also, that objectivity, in my opinion, and how it connects to, for example, wildcards and judging, is that objectivity is based on basically experience and standards. Because if we would have zero experience, it could mean that somebody singing off key can be interesting for someone. For example, there's a genre called free jazz. I don't know how many of you know what free jazz actually is, but
yeah, I think so.
I'm gonna tell you something. I heard very good free jazz and I heard very bad free jazz. How is that possible in a genre where you can do whatever the fuck you want?
I think it's exactly because of that, because you can do whatever you want.
But at the same time, kind of no, because if it doesn't connect, then what the fuck is the point? Then it's just noise. And noise connecting is free jazz for me.
Sense.
So the point with mixing and everything and the objectivity is subjectivity. If I hear a house track with a wow, that was those were feats.
House track.
What that was. Yeah.
You listen to a techno or a house track, which is obviously about the booming kick driving you and like getting into that okay, cool, vibe, without a good kick that makes you feel that way, that pumping trancy feeling, maybe because it doesn't have enough low end, I can say that was my artistic vision. But if it doesn't connect with most people subjectively, it becomes objective.
Ooh.
Like, I think that's a good point. It's just like, to me, as someone who enjoys philosophy a lot, I think objectivity is an absolute truth, something that is true no matter what the situation is. So I think when you're talking about music in general, the problem is, and also the reason why it's great, it's a problem and a good thing, is that subjectivity is so present. Because like, you could be like, oh yeah, my mix is bad, it's just how I wanted it to be, right? But then you could argue, okay, well, it's shit and it's taken away from the song. But then you could also be, no, that's how I wanted it to be. And you have a little bit of a problem. I wouldn't then differentiate music in terms of objective and subjective. It needs a different separation, in my opinion. because I think maybe like you can be like, okay, you can be subjective about this, but you can be wrong. You know, I know that's wrong in its own sense, but like it becomes an impossible argument.
We are in a fucking full circle because now we're
Yeah.
saying basically that people saying that, bro, that was a good DJ set is having, you know what I'm trying to say, is getting
Yes.
all tied up because it's their subjective point of view. Objectively, they should call it something else, but they don't have a name for it.
Objectively,
and we
they
do
should
the same
get
thing
away.
because we say it's subjective and objective, but we should call it somehow different because it does not exist in the realm of what we are talking. And it's crazy because that's how it works, because objective supposed to mean that that's the way it is, but it doesn't work like that because Newton brought their laws and then Einstein coming in and saying that, oh yeah, those laws are good, but if I change the circumstances, those laws are horse crap. It's nothing. So it's a little bit like that in music, that, but in life, objectivity is an idea. It doesn't exist. But at the same time, we know what we are talking about when we talk about objectivity. So we can say, for example, to a song that it's objectively good mix, and still say that subjectively I don't like it, and still most of engineers could agree on that.
Yeah, so I think like an important point in music, objectivity is not an absolute truth. It is a truth that is more true for more people than it is untrue for other people.
Yeah, but there are no absolute truth in general, so it's even true in
well, I mean,
in general.
there is absolute truths.
I like to think about this like objective, like, for example, we have a track, all right, like we are all watching the same track, like the same song, and it's like this objective is like a dot, like in a map, and everyone starts in different places, and our objective is to land and move in this map and land in the exact objective point. And I think we all like try our best in this way. Like if we are thinking about judging and we are like trying to judge this piece, we all move in this map the best way we can. And some will land like more near it and others like more far. And with all this, you will get like a picture where you would be able to delimit a region where it is. And this is why, for example, I am so against of only having 3 judges in GBB, for example. But I think because if there's more people, we would be able to delimit better and better this region, and we could all say, okay, we don't have like our we don't have this objectiveness, like we don't own it, but we can point where it is. Like, I don't know if I explained it right.
Yeah, basically, if I understand you correctly, you talk that we shouldn't talk about exact stuff, but more like ranges, that this falls into a worse mix, this is a better mix, this is an amazing mix.
I think it's a matter of taking in consideration everyone's opinion, and the more people qualified that takes part of this process, the better result you will get overall.
Would you be down for a competition where you have 15 judges?
I know, like, the point of this...
I mean the question, it's not like a provocative
it's
one.
It's very, very difficult. Like, I know the limits of this situation. Like...
No, but like what he's asking is, would you rather have do you think it's more fair to have 15 judges than it is to have 3?
I think you don't need 50 judges.
Why do you need 5 then?
I mean, the reason of 5, I think it comes because of it has to be like an odd number, and
3 is
or no overtimes.
In Wildcard? Oh, okay.
Wildcard doesn't matter.
Like in the background of it, like odd number because of no overtimes, and 7 maybe. I know there have been competitions with 7 and 9 judges.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think 7 maybe one La Coupe, maybe, or other one, or Emperor of Mike, something like that. Like, I don't know.
'Cause I think there should be more for wildcard judges than there should be for live judges,
maybe.
in my opinion.
For me, it's the same. Like, for me, in the perfect scene, we would have the exact same 5 judges judging wildcards and live event. Like, the exact same people.
Yeah, it's.
I think 3 is a bit little for wildcard, in my opinion as well. I agree.
It's a good point, but at the same time, the amount of drama that happened when it was 5 judges, like what I'm trying to say, rewind. So there were years.
He saw our faces and he was like, okay.
There were years when there was 5 wildcard judges.
Yes.
And the drama amount
Yes.
had no decrease or increase compared to the years when there we had 3. There's always drama. There's always people who everybody feels like they should have made it. There's always disagreements because my point is that let's say you have 3 judges and those 3 judges have a pretty similar list. Then you have 5 judges and 4 of the judges have pretty similar, but one, because we have more judges now, so maybe there's an odd one out who's not that qualified or whatever, that one having one person in the 25th position where everybody had them in around like 9, and he doesn't make it in, and there was 5 judges. So
3.
at the end, it doesn't really matter because, as we talked about it, it's super subjective, and the judges have different point of views. So if those point of views meet in some people, probably they're gonna end up high. If the point of view start to be a little bit, for me he was 3rd, for them it was 8th, well, it's gonna get borderline. And when it's getting down, it doesn't really matter at the same time. So the point as a wildcard making artist and a mix making artist and whatever is to have something close to objectively good, so good that no matter the judge background, no matter the judge subjectivity, they find something in your wildcard why they rank it high.
Yeah.
There are like also a few wildcards. Like there were a few wildcards where like all the judges don't really had them on 1st or 2nd place, but like every judge had them on like 6th place, and sometimes that's enough. Sometimes they're like in the overall ranking they're higher than like people who were 1st in one of the sheets.
Yeah, because we add up the points. So
But
one judge has almost infinite power in the sense of 5 judges and 3 judges at the same time. Because if I put Lennard 99th and you all put him 1st, he might not make it. He might be 9th. And he might not make it. So in that sense, I think not the number of the judges is the most important thing, but the fact that the judges are by most of the community accepted.
But
And
for
say
example,
that whatever you say, I'm going to say that, okay, as long as you can say why you said what you said, so you give feedback and not just random numbers and like whatever.
Yeah.
As long as you do that, I trust you and might not agree with you, but it's okay. But I trust you and I trust you and I trust you. And from here on, it's up to you because you did something to the community or in the community or outside the community that is enough for me to say that, okay, probably there are not too many people that would be in better position than you. Because let's say that I'm a no-name YouTube commenter, okay? My name is Untitled, okay? And me as Untitled saying that, oh, my list would have been so much better. And I go and actually get the judge position as Untitled. And I make an amazing list. But there's going to be 1 person or 2 persons saying, but okay, it's not a bad list, but who the fuck are you to say that, huh? Why should I trust your decision? So at the end
Nice.
of the day, since we're talking about art,
Hmm.
it's the most important thing that when you enter a competition or watch a competition from outside, have the thing in your head that, okay, these are good judges, and not blame the decision
Yeah.
of the judges. More like if you have anything against the judge, objectively, like saying he didn't even win a competition. Why is he judging? He didn't even do this or that. You know, that's, I think, a bit more important than the number of judges. Because
Yeah,
at the
but-
end of the day, we kind of have infinite power. That's what I did to Yasweed in online World Champs, if you remember.
Yes, but no, because for example, in these two cases, like 3 judges and 5 judges, where one of them ranks someone 99th and the rest of them ranks them first, what would happen is that in the case of 3 judges, this person would rank lower than in the case of 5 judges. Like they won't be in like in any of them, but the 5-1 would be closer to what this objectiveness we
I
were
see your
talking
point,
about.
but
Like this is why I'm talking about more judges, more like the power is still there, but if you tend to infinite judges, this power disappears.
exactly.
You know?
But then we're talking about democracy, where
Yes.
there's. But just hear me out.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard any country where they had a voting for, let's say, Republicans and Democrats, and half of the country wasn't pissed off about the decision?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. But
It's not
that's
about the
another point.
numbers. It's
But
not
that's
about
another-
the numbers.
That's
It's-
another thing. Like, the opinion of the crowd is something important to know if we are close to objective results or isn't. Because you are taking it as the indicator of if we are doing things right or we aren't, and I don't think that's a good indicator actually.
Can you repeat the first part so I
Like-
understand 100%?
Like, is the opinion of the crowd something to consider to know if the results are fair?
okay.
This is actually someone in the YouTube chat was also asking if a crowd voting should be allowed.
I don't think
Because
so.
I don't think so.
I don't
I
think
don't
so.
think so.
either.
So
I really don't
that's-
think so.
That's
And
what we were
I
talking.
meant with the
Mhm.
democracy thing, that you said
Mhm.
infinite judges is better because then these things even
Not
out.
better,
But that's what I gave the thing where I said that if you have infinite judges, you're gonna have lower quality judges, right? When you have, let's
course.
say, 15 judges, there's gonna be 3 judges that doesn't have a title, so technically it's easier to attack them on their judgeship. That, wow, what do you know? And maybe they are amazing musicians and they know better than anybody.
exactly.
but-
That's the important.
For
thing.
you, but for somebody, let's say even a competitor who just joined the scene,
Mhm.
is like he's like me. I know a lot of stuff, and okay, he might be know a lot of stuff, but he didn't win anything, and I didn't win anything else. How is he judging me? What the fuck? So it's
Yeah.
you have your point of view, but everybody else has their point of view, even as a competitor, as a judge, as an organizer of the event. So there are basically infinite point of views and infinite variables. So I think that this is where our humanness is coming to a role, because as humans, we are able to empathize, and we are able to sometimes step out of our little bubble in our head and say that, okay, I see the points of the organizers, of the judges, of everybody. I might not agree, but I'm in peace because I see their point.
Mhm.
And I think this is where we have to evolve a little bit as a community, to have that kind of understanding that there's not going to be a situation when everybody's happy. Never. Ever. So the only thing that we can do is try to be transparent and to put people in the power position who have some objective, like a title, qualifications, and subjective qualifications, that there are a lot of people who think that they would be a good judge. And that too, being married should be enough for people to say that, okay, this organizer tried to get a good judge, and that judge giving feedback, telling me that he's trying his best to give the best ranking, and I might not agree, but it's enough for me. Thank you. Because it's art.
Yeah, I think this discussion it has no answer. You know, it's the same way like in any of the arts, there's
Too much answers.
this exactly. Yeah, no, it's just the fact that subjectivity is what dominates the thing, and that's what's good about it. You know, that's what we actually enjoy about the arts in general. So it's like, I think originally when you had looping competitions, you would actually see, okay, this guy's better at looping than the other person. Now it's a music comparison because people are good enough to the point where there's just many people that are doing different kind of songs, and then it's becoming subjective. You know, there used to be an element of objectivity, who's better, who's worse. Now it's becoming more subjective, you know? And I think ultimately that's always going to lead to problems because people will have one opinion while others have another.
Yeah.
And there will always be disagreements. The reason why subjectivity is a thing, it's because everyone disagrees with each other because they have their own opinion. So I think to say, okay, this judge is better than the other is wrong, you know, but still, then again, I will still say that there's people that are better than others. And there's times when there's, like, for example, I will say when Dice the Code came out, for me, that was so easily first, objectively, you know? I can't say it's objective because it's not, but to me, it was just better than everyone else by a significant margin, you know? But yeah, I'm just rambling at this point, to be honest.
And also we drifted away a little bit for mixing, but I wanted to say
Yeah.
something about the Dice the Code. Why it was also first, because it was a little bit pioneering. It was brought in a story. It was brought in something that was not
The
usual.
video
Maybe not
elements
pioneering, maybe
well.
not the first doing that, but something that was super unusual, and he did it super well. So
Same with the second place. This old time rock and roll thing.
oh yeah,
by
Zhangzhe.
Zhangzhe.
Well,
Yeah.
After
Same thing.
I learned it was a cover, I didn't knew.
Yeah, but like
it was.
still it was unusual.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was at the time, and we
Yeah.
also have to put the thing that at the time it's really important. Like, you know, for example, okay, NaPoM is still cool, but at the time he was coming to 2015 with his lip rolls. It was like, what? It's
Yeah.
like to a
Yeah.
second round. What?
Game changer.
What? Like, you know, that new factor, that new element, is that pioneering is a big thing. So if you want to win a wild card, do something like that. Could be a good idea. For example, Cardona's wild card last year, it was lacking in
stands out.
so many things because the mix wasn't as pristine and as is. But for me, it was super high ranked because it connected, it landed, it was authentic. It was something that is maybe not super new, but at the same time,
Yeah.
It was new.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Somehow, yeah.
yeah, but back to
Um,
mixing. Actually, we are kind of talking about mixing in the sense of
Yeah.
Everything
This
we
kind
said
of-
is
relating to
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Again, you can do something that is not, for example, let's say again, Hamdi with the snare, the clap sound being so loud. Not many people would do that because it's like borderline hurting my ears. Borderline. But that's the thing. He found that borderline and it actually sounds cool. So
Hmm.
it's, yeah, we're going to let him go. You can work on your wild card.
Yeah, we need to leave in a bit as well.
Yeah. But that's the main point about I wanted to bring in about mixing, that as much subjectivity there's still like a little bit of objective thing.
Yeah,
And
I think
where
the objectivity in mixing, people don't want to hear that it's objective.
yeah,
in a
and where
sense.
it comes in, the objectivity, in my opinion, if we would, camera free fall, if we would show your mix to 100 qualified Grammy Award winning mix engineers, would all of them say that, yeah, your kick is not having enough bass, man? This genre needs that bass of the kick. And yeah, we can never test that, of course. You have to rely on the judges that we get, and they're saying that, okay, is this an objective thing or if this is a subjective thing? Because you can get away with a not too fat kick in a house track, even in a techno track in a sense there, but there are elegant ways to do stuff, and the most
Yes.
important thing is, maybe this elegance is a good way to explain that when that lack or too much of something is obviously a choice and not the lack of knowledge, that's when it becomes cool. So when it's so characteristic, so obvious, it's a little bit like jokes, you know? When you say a joke, and let's say Slether and Chaos have that dynamic that I know about,
Mhm.
but a lot of people maybe don't know about, you know, then I'm a better judge of the situation than the people who don't know about it.
Yeah, because like
I have a
yeah, it's true.
even my
Zoom
computer
knows, yeah.
approves. Wow. So the point is that you have to accept that winning a competition, for example, is a good indicator of a potentially good judge, because it takes a lot to win a competition. It's just the way it is. At that year, at that situation, at that thing, you have to be the best and beat everybody. Sometimes it could be a lucky thing, but less likely. So if you win a bigger competition, not just a national competition where it's, you know, with Loopstation, it's finals immediately. So you have to win one battle. And
I
you know what
wish.
I'm saying? Yeah. Not in Germany, but yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
It's a
Germany's a
good
bit-
indicator. And also, you have to evaluate if the judge for you, and you have to get some knowledge, has some musical background, musical experience that you consider as like, yeah, it's more than mine, so yeah, easy. Or it's just as, you know, it's just legit, or I don't know how to say it. So playing an instrument from one side could be a nice objective indicator, because that takes discipline, that takes a lot of knowledge, that takes a lot of time and effort. But again, for mixing, it's a little bit more tricky, because yeah, I don't have a certificate about that I know what a good mix is yet. Somehow there's usually one thing that people don't argue with me about if I say if it's a good mix or bad mix, is mix. Other things they might argue with me, but somehow people accepted this thing about me, and I don't have a certificate. So it's a tricky thing that
Okay, I will
why
say it's
yeah.
just because you were like, I remember you were always ahead of the game, right? As you said in one of your tracks. Okay, it wasn't that funny, Freedom, shut up. Um uh but it's honestly like the biggest challenge is trying to focus on the podcast and having Freedom next to you.
So,
Yeah.
Honestly, I deserve a medallion
Yes.
for this. Okay, either way, my point is, I think when you joined Kickback and you have Sidjo touching you on the side, and you got Alice picked in the nose, you were so far ahead in terms of mixing. It was genuinely like incredible. I still think if you look at your Kickback stuff, and just the drums alone, I want them still. And this is like 2-3 years later. I would do many things that I won't talk about on stream
years.
just to get those drum presets.
Actually, 4
I
years.
think I
Um,
don't have those presets anymore.
You don't have those
Really?
presets anymore
I
because
don't
you have
think
no
so.
purpose for them because you got an even better.
Wow.
But you know what? I don't
German
even know
love.
what to say anymore.
Yeah, the point is that still, if anybody want to question me, I'm happy to answer why, but about
Hey, can
mixing,
you miss
you're
the
gonna
the mix?
what? Is there something?
sorry, no, it's all good. It's all good.
Okay. So still, the point is that you have to be transparent about why you say what you say, and with mixing, you're gonna learn way faster if you take all knowledge or feedback from me, from anybody, even feedback that you would say that that's bullshit. I have enough bass, and somebody says that I don't have enough bass. No, take a step back and say like, interesting. Let me reference it. Let me listen with the ears of saying that maybe I don't have enough bass. Let's compare this to another track and to another and to another. And then empirically, after listening back to 10 other tracks, I say that, no, I have enough bass. I wanted to keep it that way. That judge said something that I don't agree with. Okay, cool.
Also,
I got my lesson.
Suggestion for making a wildcard also, or like releasing tracks in general, to ask for feedback. Like every looper has a different opinion also on your mix. I also again with my GB Wildcard I did it, and like everyone told me something different that I would need to change, and then I was like, okay, yeah, well, what should I do
but then
now?
you have to filter all that information.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to be like absolutely open and doing everything. No, because then
it's
some of
being
them
critical
will
still.
That's the point, that you take things and not take the information away, but the potential of the information and the potential of the learning from it. And even when somebody gives you feedback that is like your instinct is like, no, it's not like that, just give it a go, give it a run, give it a
try it.
Just maybe just put it to the shelf, as they say it, and take it off 2 weeks later when you're not emotionally into the thing. There's like, no, my one mixes, I should be the, it's normal. You enter a competition, you work a lot, you're like that, but you have to be aware
I think
that you're like that.
I think it's very important. It's I think criticism from friends, from people that you know are good, is crucial to your own growth. And you just gotta take a step back. These people are trying to help you. They're not trying to insult who you are as a person. They're not insulting your mother, right? They're just trying to help you with the track that you've made and you've asked for feedback for. I think it's really narrow-minded is a good word to be like, oh yeah, I don't want feedback because I'm correct. Feedback is so important. Like I will say, like for example, I don't know if you guys know the track Haunt, right? My German champ's second round. Originally, the second drop was it was just a bass note, and then KBA was like, oh yeah, add a ring mod. I was like, okay, and then the ring mod made it go now it sounds way better. That track wouldn't be the same without KBA. And it's
the feedback of KBA.
The feedback of KBA, exactly. And it's like a lot of my tracks were just helped, well, not made, but assisted by feedback from other people. And it's very stupid to just think, okay, I'm always correct. I'll always forever be correct, and the opinions of others is wrong. No. And it's also stupid to say the opinions of others is always correct. Think critically of every feedback you receive, but don't always instantly negate it or instantly say it's correct. Find the balance.
I guess soon we have to
wrap
it up.
Me and Lennard
Nils,
really need to get going.
I wanted to say something because we are already in wildcard season.
Yep.
So this goes more for you, Kristof, as a judge.
Yes, please.
Because I've already talked to you this when we were in Madrid Champs.
Yep.
But just like to say it openly, I think when it comes to live reviewing all the wildcards and everything, that's something that you told me that you were a bit concerned about because you try to improve it like every year and finding new ways to say everything you think and on that. I think I speak for all the loopers. That what we want is just honesty, like somehow. Like I think this thing that scares you about the misunderstanding or the anger that can you're green. I see. No, because of the because of the mic.
You're holding your
Yeah,
but
I mean, it's just my inner
Yeah.
thoughts.
No, but
manifesting.
these anger that some contestants can have because of your opinions and all that stuff, I think that if you stop, like, I don't know if you do it, but if you stop filtering like this information, like if it comes very honest, like, for example, you don't have to say more good things or more bad things, or you just have to say what you see. Like, if you see a good thing, just say it. If you see a bad thing, say it. Like, you don't have to say it in a bad way, of course, but you have to point it out because you're judging. And I think when you are like not trying to do this balance of no, but this is good, but no, but this also, like, when you are just like saying what you see, what you hear, then I think it's what loopers want.
Okay, I see you, but I have to
Mhm.
say that I really have to focus on saying the positives also, because
Yeah.
it's like sometimes, especially when I judge, I know that feeling when I listen to a track and it's like, oh shit, oh again, yeah, that feeling,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
feeling, when it just comes together and it's like, yes, it's it is the thing. And obviously you can tell it by my reaction, but other times when my initial feelings are like, mm, it's way easier for me to just list the things that makes me go and not to say any positive about it. That's my instinctual,
Yeah.
because I'm judging, I'm making the points, I have to make the difference, so I have to say like, okay, here it's wrong, how bad is that, maybe this is not that bad,
Yeah.
but that is very bad, da 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 da. And in all of this, what gets lost is me saying that, oh yeah, but that thing, by the way, is really cool. You did
Mhm.
that well. And
Yeah.
we talked about this also in Madrid Jump, and I have to say that it's hard, but this
Yeah, I
year I
know.
will try to do it that way, to keep the honesty,
Mm.
but at the same time keep the honesty to the point where you feel where I want to put you around, but I still point out positive things
Yeah.
and the negative things at the same time, which is super hard. Like, this
The-
is
Yeah. The
really
hard
hard.
part of that, of like transmitting like where the placement is going to be, is that I think that when we are talking about the top 20 or the top 10, the points are very, very close to each other. So I think that in this scenario of live stream, it's impossible to tell
Yeah.
like this difference by language.
Yeah.
So
For me too.
also, I think loopers should know this. Like, even though someone speaks only good stuff and then some bad stuff, that doesn't mean that you are going to be in, because there are going to be also 10 guys with this same like review, and you know what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
that's a participant's labor. Like,
Yeah.
it's not only on you, all this, and that's maturity. Like, somehow.
Yeah. I think both sides, both the judges and both the contestants, have things
Yes.
to evolve. This is still super young that this is happening.
Yeah.
I don't know that the let's say the first years that the GBB videos were like hot, maybe 2015, 14, I don't know.
Mm.
But let's say 15, and that gives us 10 years. It's nothing. It's nothing, and still we are evolving so fucking fast. I just want to keep that mentality and keep the idea alive that whoever goes to a live event knows, but whoever just stays behind a computer screen and sends, crazy messages on DMs or whatever, or comments,
Hmm.
they don't know that we
Yeah.
love each other, we love
Yes.
looping, we love beatbox, we love music, and that's it. That's the most important thing about it. And whatever we do has no harming intent, not from the competitor side and not from the judge side. If we come from this place and we discuss and say that here maybe if you say it that way or blah blah blah, like just give feedback again, and as a person I have to decide also to take your feedback, sleep on it, and see how it's self-authentic to me to build what you just told me. But just being able to talk about this, that's why I'm super happy that this stream is up there and it's happening, because overall in the world we need more of this, that we are okay with not agreeing, we are okay taking feedback, we are okay not taking feedback by trying the feedback, but at the end of the day we don't care, because we're gonna honestly hug and smile at each other when we next meet, because
Yeah.
we have the same things going on in our heart, and that's the most important thing, and no malicious intents whatsoever. And that's the point of music in general, like bringing people together loving the same thing. That's the idea. And the competition is just a different packaging. And now, I don't know, 25% see this, but that 25%, if agrees with it, should preach it to the next 25 and to the next 25. And at the end, we can build a solid community where negativity in that sense is not going to be tolerated. It's just going to be like, yeah, okay, whatever. You don't belong here. It's fine. Yeah, that's it. And also about mixing, the same idea. This goes to mixing at the same time.
Yes.
Like, as long as you love what you do, you have to realize that it's an infinite road. There's always room to get better. Take those feedbacks. Make choices, not by the YouTubers, but your artistic decisions and your experience. And if anybody tells you that I'm gonna teach you mixing, yeah, cool, but don't think that you can save the trouble of listening, and training your ear and training your vision. Not like the eye vision, but your dream vision of what you want to sound like, because it's a lonely work and nobody can do it for you. You can get pointers, you can get tips, but this is the ultimate tip, is to rely on you and rely on your experience when you go by mixing. And even when you get feedback, turn it into your experience and not like as a rule or
Nicely
whatever.
said.
For me, that's it.
I think that's it, right?
Yeah.
I think I've honestly enjoyed this a lot. We've talked
Same.
about like so
Yeah.
many different like things. I think this is like, it might not be very interesting to watch as a viewer, but it's important. It's like, okay, maybe saying not interesting is a bit mean to us, because we're great people. But I think it's like, it's a lot of information that, like, I think if you generally listen to, can pose very useful if you're trying to take this path that we've all taken seriously. So yeah, I think like, honestly, as we've talked about objectivity and subjectivity, blah, 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 right? You don't have to listen to us, right? But I think just taking what we've said in a grain of salt, at least, would pose useful for your future, in the scene, at least. I mean, yeah, I'll let you do the final talk, Kristof, because this is your stream. But I want to say I've enjoyed it a lot.
For me, that was it, but I want to hear a couple of words from Lennard and Nils also, and from there, that's it. I'm super happy that you guys were here and we could do this talk, because this was actually like a talk that we had in Loop Mayhem or in GBB.
Yeah, I remember.
I really hope that at least who watched it or who will watch it got something out of it, some new ideas, some old ideas solidified, whatever. So yeah, Lennard, Nils.
Yeah, this was super fun. Like, let's just meet live in GBB. How does that work with you, Kristof? Do you think? you could do that possible. No, but yeah. I'm just
just
joking. Like,
putting Zoom H6 in between us and a camera, just selfie mode,
Exactly.
and yeah.
no, but I enjoyed it like a lot. I don't know, like most times that I hang out with loopers or beatboxers here in every event, you know this, Kristof, like you've seen it. I enjoy to talk about this more than anything, like more than jams or whatever. It's super cool. So yeah, it was nice to do it with you all guys, and yeah, it was nice time. Yep.
Much love.
Yeah.
Lennard.
Same for me. Like, I'm grateful that I was part of this. I actually learned a lot, also, like talking to you guys and seeing the world with different eyes. You know, if that's how you say it. I hope so. You know what I mean. Yeah. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you so much, guys. Next time, maybe we see each other at, I guess, loop evaluation videos, or probably the next episode. I have some
Loop
plans for
Mayhem
it.
as well.
Mayhem.
And yeah, Loop
Yeah.
Mayhem is happening, guys. So if you don't have your tickets or thinking about if you should
Yes.
come or not, yes, you should, motherfuckers. It's gonna be amazing. So yeah.
But yeah, looking forward to the next episode, man. I'm enjoying
Oh,
this
yeah.
a
Yeah,
lot. So
Yeah,
Um,
I really hope that we can roll this around and have more
Yeah,
people
it's
and
fun,
you guys
man.
back
Yeah.
at the same time, and
Yes.
yeah, just talk about
yeah,
the same and different stuff. Like it's
Yeah.
all, as we proved it all comes back to the same thing. Like
Yes.
it's just
Yeah.
us getting
Yeah.
better and us
Yes.
getting more experience and knowledge about the word. That's life, basically.
Absolutely.
That's it, and that's
That's
all
life.
about it.
I
so.
appreciate you as a human, Kristof. You're a wonderful human.
Same, guys.
I
Same.
appreciate you as a sausage.
Yes. No, you appreciate my sausage. Just
He says,
don't- yeah.
no, you appreciate my sausage.
Oh, I
That's a
know.
Yeah, just you know. Okay, let the sausage talk go, because
Hey,
if somebody-
sausage talk
Please.
goes to the
Okay.
side.
if
Kristof, you're a
somebody's
wonderful
just
human
joining
being.
in, they are like, "What the
Um,
fuck?" Hi.
No,
Hi.
I'm getting.
Beautiful ending
And
picture.
of course,
And
it's
the
me that
other
gets
one.
absolutely raided.
What?
Yeah.
Wow, beautiful ending picture.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining,
Oh,
guys.
Now I
and-
feel
He did the
like
second
twice
cam,
as
nice.
lonely, but nice.
Yeah, look
Right,
at Nils
Kristof?
and me just sitting in our
Yeah,
rooms.
like, same city, but
Yeah, but still lonely.
No,
Yeah.
honestly, I'd prefer to be alone right now. Than these punks surrounding.
actually,
It's
yeah.
like that. It's like
For,
that.
for a live stream.
Yeah. All right.
um,
Take care,
No,
you
but I
guys.
appreciate all of you so much. We'll talk soon. Absolutely.
yes.
All right, much love.
Give a follow and a
Bye-bye.
like for these guys
Me.
on their YouTube.
Me.
Slether,
Me.
Lennard, Nils.
Me.
Thank you so much for joining me. This was the first episode with a rocky start, but we made it.
We did it.
Yeah. All right. Take care. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Damn.
I'm going to assume that you ended the stream.
No, wait, because my mouth is moving. Oh,
Oh,
okay,
okay.
cool.
There we go.